We are live and letting one last person in here. Hello, Andrew. Glad you can make it. We are starting to get worried about you.
I'm not hearing anything.
Uh-oh.
Well, that part's important.
Maybe get out, get back in. Oh, there it is. Well, anyways, yes. Welcome to another episode of Cam and Focus Weekly. Happy May the 4th. May the 4th be with you all. Andrew, can you hear us now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Sorry about
Outstanding. Yes. May the 4th be with you all. Excuse me. Today we are here to discuss the one of the best Star Wars films, which is Revenge of the Sith. It was recently re-released in theaters. Before we get to all that, I'm Cam of Cam and Focus, and with me today, over here in this direction, Mr. Spencer. How are you?
I'm doing good. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you. Glad to have you. This is your first time on my show, I think.
Yeah, that is correct. I've been meaning to make it on for, honestly, quite a while now, but finally making it work.
Yes, definitely. Well, you picked a good one to join, so...
Absolutely.
And right down here is Mr. Andrew. How are you?
Doing good. Been kind of a busy day, but I'm glad I made it right at the last second. You know.
Yes, yeah. Well, from what I understand, it's been a busy week for a lot of us here. So I'm certainly happy that you were able to set some time aside to join us here tonight.
Yeah, of course.
Well, Revenge of the Sith, commonly regarded among a lot of Star Wars fans as one of the best ones of the entire saga. Came out back in 2005. Ooh, we have another one. Mr. Dave. How are you?
Chill, Dave. It's chill, David.
Yeah, that tells me everything I need to know.
Still sorting. That's
gotcha.
It's been a weekend.
Yeah. Well, we were just talking about that too. How it seems like it's been a pretty busy week for a lot of people. Like me, for example, I wasn't able to make it onto the Cantina Happy Hour stream because I didn't have time to watch Andor. Unfortunately, the geniuses over at Lucasfilms decided to have Tuesday be the air date for all their new episodes, and with me prepping to move out of state, that doesn't really afford me a whole lot of time to get caught up, unfortunately. So, certainly not happy about that, but it is what it is. So, yes, Revenge of the Sith. As I was saying, prequel trilogy came out in 2005, commonly regarded as one of the best films of the entire saga. It recently got re-released back in theaters, and as far as I can see, it is dominating the box office right now.
It was.
Oh yeah.
It was. What dethroned it?
Well, I just mean it was only there for a week, which
okay.
For me, it was a very odd choice that they didn't make it a 2-week release to have it be on May the 4th because
they couldn't release on May the 4th because you had the Thunderbolts releasing and they didn't want to release against their own property.
But even then, Thunderbolts could have been a week after. You know?
Yeah, because last year Phantom Menace was May 4th weekend. So.
Well, Phantom Menace was May 4th weekend because there was nothing in the Marvel slot that weekend.
True.
The only Marvel offering we had that year was Deadpool and Wolverine.
Well, it's an interesting thing where we see Marvel pick up Star Wars as slack a lot of times, but I don't know. It's an interesting.
I will say this as far as the box office dominance and all that other stuff goes. It was number 4 overall for the weekend. I believe Minecraft, Sinners,
and The Accountant.
Were just
above it.
We're just above it. But of all the movies that were listed on the list, every one of those movies was playing, and I'm going to say all the way down through like probably 15 or so, they were all playing at 35-ish hundred theaters.
Yeah,
somewhere in the neighborhood of 3,500, whereas Star Wars Revenge of the Sith was only playing in 2,700 theaters. So nearly 1,000 theaters less, but still managed to pull 1,000 fewer theaters, but still managed to pull number 4 at the box office. Now, had it had a wider release, had it had the 3,500 theaters that it would have touched on, I could have seen it. It probably would have It probably would have bumped Minecraft, to be honest with you. I mean, it probably would have pulled number 2. I mean, Sinners, I hear, is really, really good. But it probably would not have bumped that just because it is a 20-year-old movie. But I can see it bumping Minecraft and The Accountant. So, and all of those movies up to and including the 20th anniversary re-release of Pride and Prejudice did better than Disney's Snow White.
Not exactly a high bar to hurdle there.
Just saying. I think that one pulled in at number 11 or 12 last week. So,
and a lot of the things that I've been seeing about the box office return for Revenge of the Sith were saying that it was approaching 900 million. Well, what did the final box office gross end up at? Do we know?
I think it was just over 900 million. I don't remember seeing an exact number.
That sounds right.
Yeah. I mean, that makes it one of the most profitable films that we're going to have all year. So
there you go.
And that's just wild to me for it to be out for 1 week.
Yeah.
And make that much money in so few theaters.
But it's great too for the prequel actors, because you think about what they dealt with from a lot of fans when the movies came out, and now all the stuff Hayden's doing, just the love he's receiving because those fans have grown up. It's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, because I was just thinking about this the other day, because Star Wars, as we know, is definitely a very generational thing. Mm-hmm. I mean, you have your people who love the saga in its entirety, but then you have the people who grew up with certain eras of Star Wars. The people who grew up with the original trilogy didn't quite feel the prequel trilogy. And the people who grew up with the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy weren't quite feeling the sequel trilogy. But with the people that grew up with the original trilogy having grown up now, their voices are starting to come out, and they're raising the prequels up on their pedestal. And it's just going to be the same cycle. Exactly. The young kids who grew up with the sequel trilogy are going to grow up, and they're going to start putting their own voices out there, and then it's going to be the same thing. So
young kids that grew up with the Acolyte here in about 15 years will be like, "Oh, this is peak," and I'd be like, "Shut up."
So, some people already think the Acolyte is peak. I'm certainly not one of those people, but there are things I liked about it. There are things I liked about it. I'm not going to completely knock it.
Episode 5 was pretty good. I'll give them that.
Episode 5 was the reason they wanted to make the show,
Yeah.
I've said this before. I've said, they had this idea for this crazy duel where this one dark side user just completely dominates a group of Jedi. And they're like, okay, how can we make a show that will lead us to this? And then the Acolyte was born.
And somehow in there, they were like, this has to have a pop song. Just has to.
I was honestly, I was watching a thing on because they always. I went to see Thunderbolts this weekend. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they're always playing. Oh, here's some interesting little tidbits before the movie kind of thing. And one of the things that I saw was with the Mission Impossible movies, there's never a script for those. They just say we're going to make a movie, and basically they scout out a location. They say here's the stunt we want to pull. And they film the stunt, and then after all the stunts are filmed and everything, they fill in the gaps with the story.
That's crazy.
They go in and write the story after all the cool special stunts are done, and it's like they really have. I mean, anybody that sits there and screams, "Oh well, the sequel trilogy had no storyline, no story plan, blah 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 blah," I'm like, Mission Impossible. How many movies have they made like that?
Yeah,
and those are,
exactly.
That's crazy.
Don't knock it till you tried it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the original trilogy didn't quite have a plan either. George Lucas wasn't expecting for his original film to take off the way it did.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So
that's why he made it to where it could have. We get the awards and it closed. I mean, it was a standalone film just by itself. So
now, if only we could have done that same thing with Krull.
Oh gosh. We need a sequel. I'm telling you. We need Krull 2, Rise of the Krulls.
Krull 2, Revenge of the Glaive.
It's finally I'm going to get my screen time.
Yeah. All right, so Revenge of the Sith. I know that not all of us were quite, theater goers whenever the film came out. Spencer, I don't know how old you are. I know that Andrew is still a bit on the young side. I think,
Yeah.
I don't think you were born yet when when Revenge of the Sith hit theaters. I'm not saying that to
No,
diss you
I
or
was
anything like
born
that,
opening
but
weekend. Yeah.
oh, were you? Okay.
Oh, okay. I would have been roughly a year and a half old, so not quite theater going material yet.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm still mad my parents didn't let me go opening weekend, but oh well. I didn't know what a Star Wars was, but
go to one of those theaters for the deaf and hearing impaired, where they give you the headphones, and she just puts the headphones on her stomach while she sits there.
Yeah. There you go.
I think I was 12 or 13 when it came out, because I was born in 1992. So I think I was probably, if it came out in May, then I wouldn't have turned 13 yet. So yeah, I was 12. And Dave, you were what, 39, 38?
Shut up.
Grandkids,
No, actually, my Revenge of the Sith story is quite amazing, because I got married in December of 2004, and my wife knew what she was getting into when she married me. So anyway, so we get married, and in March of 2005, I deployed. I went overseas, and I didn't actually go overseas initially. I was in Arizona doing training stuff for a long time, and while I was there, the movie was set to release. Well, while we were doing the training, we had weekends off, which was fine. So I was going to be able to go on the weekend, but I wasn't going to be able to go like to a midnight show on Thursday night and go see the movie and then be up for work at 4:00 in the morning on Friday. So there was just no way I was going to see the midnight show, and chances are I wasn't going to get to see a Friday night show either. I was going to have to wait till Saturday. And my wife got tickets for a midnight show on Thursday night, and we didn't have video chat. She had we had flip phones at the time. So she called me on my little flip phone, and she said, "Ha ha ha, I'm going to get to see Star Wars before you do." And she made a big show of rubbing that in my face. Well, about 2 weeks before the movie set to release, they were doing all they had all the toys releasing, and all the merch and whatnot was coming out. And one of the things that they had going was a Burger King Happy Meal line, and it was just little figures, and I ended up getting the whole set of them. But there was a Darth Vader, so I went to dinner that night, and I went to Burger King there on the post and got my toy, and then I went over to the PX and I bought some Legos to go with it. And the lady at the PX was like, "Oh, you like Star Wars, huh?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she said, "Well, they're showing the movie over at the theater." And I was like, "The movie?" She said, "Yeah, it's the one that came out a while ago." And I was like, "Oh, okay. So they're probably playing episode 2 to hype up episode 3." Now, this is just like a little one-screen theater. Whatever was playing, and they only played it for a week. So if you didn't get to see it in that week, you didn't get to see it, right? So the theater was right there in the parking lot of the PX. I walked right over there, and I'm on the phone. I was talking to Stephanie, and I was like, "Yeah, they're playing episode 2, I think. So I'm going to go sit in here and watch that." Well, I was late, but I walked into the theater, and I walked past the door of the theater, and I saw the movie that was in there, and the movie that was playing, and it was the starfighters flying through the wreckage and everything, all that whole first scene. And I was like, "It's Revenge of the Sith. I gotta go." And I hung up, and I called her back like 2.5 hours later, because I sat through the whole thing, I credits and everything, and she was furious. She was like, "You didn't say goodbye, nothing." She said, "And you got to see it before me. How did you do that?" Well, what had happened was Lucas had okayed an early release for the troops,
that's cool.
so we got to see it 2 or 3 weeks before everybody else did. So it was of course amazing and awesome. And I went back and told all the guys, I was like, "Did you guys go to the movies last night?" And like, No, I was like, they played Revenge of the Sith, and they're like, no, they didn't. And I was like, yes, they did. It was awesome. No, they wouldn't do that. Yes, they did. Of course, it's all over the post, and they're like, oh my god, I can't believe we missed that. I'm like, and it was only one night, so it wasn't like it was all week long. So
lucky.
So yes, there's my Revenge of the Sith story. And
The
yes,
people
I'm
they
old.
asked
Leave me
David
alone.
to tell the story. They were like, "Play out the movie."
Now, so,
Well,
see,
you
my
can't do that because the novels had already been out, so everybody already knew the story. This was
Okay.
back in the day when they didn't keep secrets; they just spilled everything.
now, see, my Revenge of the Sith story. It's not quite as engaging. See, what happened was, I went to the theater, I bought a ticket, and I watched it.
Mine's even less than that. Right? This was a long time ago. Last Monday. I missed the weekend. So I drove to the theater, bought my ticket, watched the movie.
You know what? It's really funny because I mean, even with Attack of the Clones, when Attack of the Clones dropped, I went to the midnight early show or the midnight release show. So Thursday night at midnight. The girl that I was dating at the time, not my wife, but the girl that I was dating was working that night. So I went with her in the afternoon on Friday to go see it. And then my buddy was working during the day, so I went with him on Friday evening to go see it. So in the course of 24 hours, I saw it 3 times just on opening day. So,
well, Revenge of the Sith. Spencer, what's your Revenge of the Sith viewing story? Do you have one?
I mean, I made sure to go to the re-release on Sunday. When it was playing, so I made sure to do that. But I remember it being one that I watched on DVD a lot. I think that was like when I first sort of watched Star Wars. That was my favorite one for a while. And so that one's always had a fond place in my heart, just in general. And the big thing that really helped enhance that love for me as well was the Lego Star Wars game, where you do the full Mustafar battle.
I put so many hours into those games.
Right? And so I think that's the main reason why I probably loved like Revenge of the Sith as much as I did back then. And so, yeah.
Lego Star Wars. Who likes Lego Star Wars?
Yeah.
As he displays his tens of thousands of dollars of Legos back there.
All his kids' college fund is right there, mine.
Yeah. Now, Revenge of the Sith was kind of an interesting one for me because, I mean, you guys, Dave and Andrew, you've heard me say this before, but the first Star Wars film that I ever watched was Return of the Jedi, back when I was, 5 or 6 years old. And, from that, I went back and I watched the original trilogy. Not the theatricals, unfortunately. It was the special editions. But when I was, I think 7 years old was whenever Episode 1 came out. And I went, I saw it in theaters, and it blew me away. I was like, oh my God, this is the best freaking thing ever. Darth Maul, he's so cool. Those lightsaber fights were so cool. And as a kid, that's what sticks with you, right? The action, the cool stuff, the badass stuff. That's what, I mean, as far as the prequels went, that's what stuck with most people. It wasn't the story because
aliens that go, isn't that illegal?
Yeah, exactly. I move for a vote of no confidence.
Representation, baby.
Hey, 45 minutes of Senate hearings is the thing every kid wants to see.
Of course.
Obviously.
Yeah.
But then Attack of the Clones came out, and I saw that one in theaters too, and that was one that I had on repeat on DVD for a while. But here's the thing. Attack of the Clones kind of did the same thing that The Phantom Menace did, where most of the movie is kind of but they leave it on a high note with action and explosions and lightsaber fights at the very end. And so as a kid, that's what I was watching that movie for. I remember skipping through most of the movie just to get to the fun parts. But Revenge of the Sith was what changed all that, because Revenge of the Sith was a movie where I was like, okay, there's a lot of action, so that's great. but I'm also kind of feeling the story here too. So, add effects using hand gestures. Go away. See, that's probably that right there is probably what was giving me the fireworks when I did the thumbs up and stuff. But I mean, Revenge
do the magic hand thing.
Yeah, turn it back on. Come on.
I mean, Revenge of the Sith for me was just kind of the full package. It had a bit of everything, and narratively and in just a general filmmaking sense, it was a huge step up from Attack of the Clones, which is still my least favorite Star Wars film. It's not bad. It's not one that I enjoy going back to rewatch.
Yeah. One thing I heard. Sorry.
No. Go ahead.
One thing I saw this video of someone talking about the dialogue in the prequel trilogy, and they said what makes it sometimes come across as like, is that it's very clear that what is said is what's on the page. Like there was no improv from any of the actors. It was George Lucas had a very clear vision, and he was like, "You're going to say what's on the page."
Yeah.
Even though he had actors that were very capable of being able to maybe make the lines even better.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I can see, where that idea would come from. And that's my biggest problem with the prequels in general is the dialogue. It's so much exposition. So much of the movie is just people walking around green screen environments talking about the plot. It's not a great medium through which to engage your audience, unfortunately. I mean, there are Star Wars films that have great dialogue. Rogue One has great dialogue. The original trilogy has great dialogue. Most of the sequel trilogy has great dialogue. I'm not counting Rise of Skywalker because that movie is nothing but freaking exposition. I hate that. I hate that so much. But it's there, just not in the prequel so much. And the problem is, I'm somebody who watches a movie for the characters. I watch a movie for the drama, the character interactions. Andrew, I mean, this is why movies like Collateral and Heat work so well for me.
Oh, yeah.
Because the most interesting thing about those movies are the conversations people are having. And Revenge of the Sith, it didn't quite fix that problem, but it was a step above, what had come before. So I'm curious, when it comes to the dialogue exchanges between the characters, what exchange between characters would you say is stands out the most to you when you rewatch the movie?
I mean, obviously Anakin and Obi-Wan. Like,
Yeah.
That's the obvious one. I'm trying to think.
As far as best or worst?
Either one.
Because there was one or two of the worst. And I mean, the whole you are so beautiful. Well, it's only because I'm so in love. So in love.
No, that's like,
that's not what I meant. It was that whole scene was just like,
that was rough.
Just stop. Just stop.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that Anakin and Obi-Wan, just because that's what everything culminates to.
Definitely.
And there was a lot of. I know I caught this the second or third time I saw the movie. Again, we're talking about it in the theaters, but when Anakin is talking to Obi-Wan before Obi-Wan leaves to Utapau, and they're having the conversation. I've just been so disgruntled with the council, blah 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 blah. But I haven't. Thank you for teaching me all this other stuff. And but when they part, he says, "Goodbye, old friend. May the Force be with." I mean, it's like a very final goodbye, and that's the last time that he sees him.
Yeah,
as Anakin. The next time that they meet, they're fighting each other. So just the real subtle things like that were in there, but you didn't catch them unless you watched it like 100 billion times.
Right.
Well, something else I noticed about that scene as well is that Obi-Wan steps out into the light, whereas Anakin stays in the shadow. It's little things like that. On paper, really, any director would be like, okay, yeah, that's a good idea. That's great foreshadowing. That's blah blah blah. But I mean, just because it's an easy way to convey an idea doesn't mean that it's a bad way to convey an idea. I mean, I've seen some people who have pointed out that scene specifically and been like, oh, well, that's too on the nose. There could have been a more subtle way to go about that. And I'm like, it's Star Wars. There is no such thing as subtle.
Sure.
Very true.
Yeah. Oh, the whole only a Sith feels an absolute. That one always got me too.
That's an absolute statement.
Yes. Well, that's an absolute. And then try or try not, do or do not. There is no try.
Right.
That's an absolute. But something about that. Also, you're either with me or you're against me. And at the time, everybody was saying, "Oh, that's a stab at George Bush because he said the same thing about the terrorists and invasion of Iraq and all this other stuff." And if you're not with me, you're against. If you're not with us, you're against us. Oh, that's just that's a poke at George Bush, and he's creating the empire. And I was like,
demonetized.
I was like, no, wait a minute, wait a second, because I can look back and Gaston said it in Beauty and the Beast. And that was back in like the early 90s.
Early 90s, yeah.
Yeah. Or I could go back even further and Jesus said it in the Bible. And that was like 2,000 years ago.
Right. Yeah.
So if you're going to sit there and say, oh, well, he's just poking at Bush, it's like, no, not George Bush did not come up with that phrase. I'm sorry.
What? Are you serious?
I'm sorry. That's not a catchphrase, and George Lucas did not mean to say, "Oh well, George Bush is the empire." So, sorry.
Wow.
Sorry.
Now, never heard about this. That's crazy.
Now, my biggest complaint as far as the prequels go is like I said, the dialogue. There's not a lot of room for characterization, but Revenge of the Sith, there's a scene in there that is my absolute favorite scene in the entire prequel trilogy. It's short. It doesn't last for very long, but it's heavy. It's the scene before Anakin leaves the Jedi Temple to go and supposedly help Mace Windu bring in Palpatine, where he's standing in the council chambers and Padme is in her penthouse, and they're staring. They can't see each other obviously, but it's like they're staring at each other from across Coruscant. And Anakin just starts crying, like that scene. No dialogue. It relies entirely on Hayden's performance, and it is so much heavier and so much deeper than any other scene in the prequel trilogy.
And don't discount the music on that too.
Yeah,
because that track was called Padme's Ruminations. I think, but just the music, the scenery, both of them, crying, it was great. Yeah, it was beautiful.
And it shows that, people knock on George Lucas for not being a good writer and whatnot. I get it, whatever, but when he has a good idea, by God, it's a damn good idea.
It works.
Oh yeah.
And there's a lot of small moments like that sprinkled throughout. Like, for example, after Anakin slaughters the Separatist leaders, and he's just standing at the refinery on Mustafar, just looking out over the lava. Just a single tear comes down his face, while that evil trumpet in the back. I'm just like, oh my God, that's good stuff. Give me more of this.
Again, no dialogue needed there.
Yeah.
I think what makes this movie so great as well is like we have so many of those great small moments that you may not necessarily catch on your first, second, or maybe even third time watching, right?
Sure.
Like it just makes that movie so much more rewatchable, I think, just having so many great details there.
Yeah. And now there's a lot of lightsaber duels in this movie. I think this movie has the most lightsaber exchanges in any singular media out of any Star Wars anything. I mean, obviously the Anakin and Obi-Wan fight is iconic, but beyond that, what would you say is the lightsaber duel that you most enjoyed going back to rewatch?
Obi-Wan versus Grievous.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta game to see Grievous be a badass that we've waited for. Well, I mean, yeah, just seeing Grievous there, I think was awesome. That's the big thing for me. Is just there's no other character that I feel like we really don't have anyone else still like Grievous really, and that's what makes him like just such a unique character. So having his moment was that's just a huge highlight for me.
The Dooku one,
yeah,
that one was, and again, the writing was horrible. My powers have doubled since the last time we met. And I just wanted Dooku to say, well, 2 times nothing is still nothing. So
twice the pride, double the fall. Yeah. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of cheese in these movies.
I think that's part of the reason why you just love Star Wars, though, is the cheesiness.
Sure.
Know?
Yeah, that is a big part of it.
I mean, that's the thing. As I think that was present in the originals in much ways, but in a different sense. So,
how about you, Andrew?
Yeah, I agree with Spencer. Grievous and Obi-Wan. Just, I think it was teased in Attack of the Clones, if I'm remembering correctly, and so to actually get to see it is just pretty cool.
Oh, and of course you get the iconic line that everybody knows at the beginning of that one. Hello there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But see, what I find the funniest is General Grievous has just had 2 of his 4 hands cut off. Obi-Wan hasn't even broken a sweat, but he still says, "You must realize you are doomed." It's like Obi-Wan just removed half your limbs, dude.
Yeah.
You don't get to boast right now.
But see, I think it was deeper than that, because I've always looked at it to where Grievous knows who Sidious is. He knows what Sidious is doing. He knows what Sidious is planning. And so for him to say, you can kill, no matter what happens, you're doomed. Basically, he knows what's coming. He knows Order 66 is about to happen.
Does he though? Like,
yeah.
Okay.
It's well, I mean, he reports to Sidious, so I'm sure he has some working knowledge as far as what's going to happen. So
see, I just feel like Sidious isn't a person that would tell anybody that's going to happen. So I don't know. Maybe that's just how I read it.
Well, but. And I mean, he tells.
We got the Geek and I podcast in the house. What's up?
Yeah.
Hey, John.
Vulcan, whatnot. What did they find in Captain Kirk's toilet? The captain's log.
Oh my god! Hi, hungry. I'm Dad.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, but yeah, and because he tells him in that movie.
Andrew, no!
Well,
Andrew said that must have been a dirty joke, because Andrew said no.
My mom watches this.
How dare you?
There he is.
Frozen. So I figured that meant I was frozen. So
gotcha.
But anyway, he has he tells the war is about to be over. Soon I'll have a new apprentice, and I'm sure he's at least said when the war is over, the Jedi will be gone. We'll get rid of the Jedi. We're gonna win this thing no matter what. So I'm sure he knew in some way or another, hey, you're about to be done. So
kind of like killing me doesn't end everything.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, if you kill me, you're still doomed.
Yeah. I think it's fair to say that Grievous knew inkling of what was coming, but I don't think he knew specifically Order 66 was coming.
Maybe it was like Dooku. He thought he knew everything, but even Dooku was surprised when Palpatine was like, "Do it."
Yeah.
So maybe Grievous knew enough to know that Obi-Wan like killing him isn't enough, but maybe he didn't know it. He thought he knew everything. Or
I'm
for
sure
sure,
there's a book somewhere that explains it.
probably. It's coming out in October. You know.
Now, for me personally, my favorite lightsaber, not necessarily duel, but favorite lightsaber moment
That wasn't the question.
Okay, I'm just gonna remove Andrew from the stream. Let's go just get him out of here.
Oh, darn.
He got banished.
Oh, I got banned. I gotta change my name.
Yeah, right. So, see, Andrew, you're down there very last, where you belong.
Oh snap!
Ooh.
No, my favorite lightsaber moment to revisit is when Yoda and Palpatine are dueling, and it's about halfway through. They're on the chancellor's podium, and it's slowly rising up into the Senate chambers, and the music hits that crescendo, and you just have a huge wide shot of nothing but the Senate chamber and them fighting in the distance. Like that to me is like is just a masterclass example of showcasing what's being fought for. Because you have the ultimate good versus the ultimate evil in empty Senate chamber. The Jedi fight for the Senate. Where are they? Nowhere to be found. And so it gives the impression that their fight itself is absolutely meaningless because the damage is already done.
Well, if we're saying favorite lightsaber moment, it has to be when Palpatine is about to get arrested and he goes, "It's treason then."
Yeah. Yeah, that particular duel definitely isn't my favorite. It's not only is the choreography just not great in that duel, but you can tell that Samuel L. Jackson is no swordsman. Yeah,
Well,
I mean, he's
Well,
it's
I mean,
tough.
Mace Windu fell out the window,
Well, there is that. Using Adobe One Kenobi.
Wow.
Ha ha ha.
That's horrible.
But the shot of them dueling where they're moving from left to right, and Palpatine does that little flip off of that one thing in his office, that very CGI flip off that one thing. If you see Samuel L. Jackson, this is how he's swinging his saber.
I'm telling you, it's like Time Cop.
It's like Time Cop.
But if you notice, and again, you said something about watching these things. If you notice, a lot of that duel with between Palpatine and Mace, a lot of it is shot from like here up.
Yeah,
there's very little that's like pulled out, like Anakin and Obi-Wan dueling. There's a lot. It's a lot of really tight. Okay, we're gonna focus on the head, and I'm willing to bet that's because Ian McDermott's old, Samuel L. Jackson's not a swordsman, so
yeah.
we're just gonna fake this a little bit.
Now, something that a lot of people have noticed, which I'm sure you guys have noticed too, is in some shots, Palpatine is holding Anakin's lightsaber, and that's because I don't remember if it was a deleted scene or if it was in like the first draft of the script or whatever, but Anakin actually gave, or I think he gave Palpatine his lightsaber or something similar.
Palpatine said, "In order to be my apprentice, you will have to give me your lightsaber."
Yeah.
Something like that. The big thing that I remember from that fight is if you remember the moment. That's terrible. Keep it going though. Keep it up. Anyway, the big thing that I remember from that fight though is the moment Palpatine begins that fight. He does that crazy like little twirl thingy.
Yeah.
From his desk. It's like, I don't know. I just remember seeing like, different memes and stuff about that.
I'll try spinning. That's a good trick.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Well, have you noticed too? You said a CGI flip. Did you when Dooku first shows up and he jumps down off of the? he jumps down to the level where Obi-Wan and Anakin are. He does a flip,
That's
and
right.
it's like, oh, that's kind of
definitely Christopher
right
Lee.
there.
Yeah. It's definitely Christopher Lee. It's just a CGI render of him.
But you know what? I'm gonna throw this at you. All right, because again, something I've never noticed before, and I've never thought of it, but it keeps cropping up, and I finally noticed it this time. Everybody always the line, "It's over, Anakin. I have the high ground." Now there was the scene in Episode 1 where Maul had the high ground and Obi-Wan flipped over him. So it's like, oh, what happened there? Well, I'm watching this, and that scene, Dooku had the high ground, but Obi-Wan was on the low ground. So how did he pull that off? And then on top of that, when he's fighting with Grievous, Grievous is moving in for the kill. And where's Obi-Wan? He's hanging off the side of the platform. He has the low ground again, and he still wins. So him saying that, it's over, I have the high ground, he's full of crap.
Oh my god!
From the low ground. I'm sorry.
I saw a meme once. It was it was a picture of the wide shot of Obi-Wan and Maul facing off on Tatooine in Rebels, and there was a line going across them that was at like 179 degrees, and it said Maul didn't stand a chance because it was 1 degree on the high ground.
Yeah. I like the ones where they say, you know what, where Obi-Wan's looking, you know why I like Mandalorians, right? Because they have jetpacks. That's like a mobile high ground.
Yeah.
You get someone that's going to start saying Obi-Wan's too OP because he wins regardless of high or low.
Oh, goodness. So there's another scene of a quick lightsaber switch that got lost in editing. I don't know if you guys have noticed. It's when Obi-Wan and Anakin are fighting. They're fighting on the conference table in the Separatist headquarters, and whenever Anakin grabs Obi-Wan's sword arm and chokes him and brings him down, for a brief moment, Obi-Wan is holding Anakin's lightsaber.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like, you kind of see it in the distance there, it's blinking, you miss it. It's like, no, like the shot is kind of focused on that. Like he's very blatantly holding Anakin's lightsaber. So I'm sure that there was some exchange where they like did a Princess Bride style switch swords or something like that, and it just made it past editing or something. Yeah, it's little things like that. You notice it and you can't not notice it.
Cam's going, yeah, guys.
Yeah, I just put on my big round glasses and I just sit there with a notepad, just monitoring every
watching
shot
it
in the
frame
movie.
by frame.
Shout in the next
Exactly.
time. No, you know what, Cam? That's like a new Rockstars thing. That's what they do. Or Screen Crush. That's what they're supposed to do.
Well, maybe. I don't watch Screen Crush. I used to watch CinemaSins though, and they started off really great, pointing out like continuity errors and editing errors and things like that. But for over the last like 5 or 6 years, it's just been them sinning something that's not sinnable. I mean, if you watch any of their videos over the last like 5 or 6 years, it's really blatantly just not good. But anyways, that's why I prefer the channel Cinema Wins.
Not to be confused.
Well, that channel is actually a celebration of movies, and I think they actually did
cool.
I think they did a video on Gods of Egypt.
Oh no, there's no way that movie wins anything.
And he acknowledges that. Yeah, I mean he's really being very lenient with it, but yeah, I think.
No one's Egyptian in the movie, and it's Egyptian princes.
Yeah,
Egyptian gods.
I'm pretty sure Egypt didn't have CGI back then.
Right.
So Revenge of the Sith, I'd say, has probably the most iconic opening of any Star Wars film.
Well, I would disagree with that statement, but it is a great opening.
Well, what would you say is the most iconic?
The original A New Hope.
A New Hope.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I would agree.
Well, yes, I guess I can see why that would be the case too, because Kroll had the exact same opening.
So did Spaceballs.
There we go.
To be fair, though, Spaceballs did it on purpose. Kroll was just being plagiarism.
Yeah.
You know what? If you bring up Kroll, I'm gonna have to bring up the other movie that I always bring up.
You can delete him. Go ahead and say it now, Andrew. Say it now.
I'm sorry, Andrew. We lost you for a second there.
No, I was just saying that.
What was it? What was it that we said at the very, very beginning here? We can't bring up the Emu Award because we were bringing up like Revenge of the Sloth. That's why. Because as I was typing in the title for this stream, for some reason my phone kept on auto-correcting Sith to Sloth.
Oh, I gotta look that up, see if it's a real movie.
And I'm sure it's real somewhere.
Oh, imagine that! It's just going. It's over.
Yeah.
Because it moves slow. Yeah.
Exactly. You turned her against
this is
me.
I looked up Revenge of the Sloth online and it took me to Revenge of the Sith.
You bastards.
It's almost like they know of it.
Yeah. It's like they're listening.
They're taunting you.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say about the opening for this movie is it has kind of the full package of things that you want to see in Star Wars. It has a space battle. And it has the main characters bantering with each other. It has lightsaber action. It has legitimately good humor. So that right there is like almost everything that Star Wars is supposed to be, just wrapped up in about, I think the opening from beginning to end is like, what, 20 or so minutes?
Yeah, something like that.
It is a great opening. I love that opening so much of just, you see that one ship and it just flies down and boom, there's the warfare. Like it's fantastic.
And if you watch any kind of documentary on it too, they say that ILM, because at that point, this was the last movie. This was the last Star Wars that was going to be made. Nothing else was going to happen. And so when they shot this scene, if you watch for it, somewhere in the explosions, there's a kitchen sink.
Yep.
So that they can say everything, they threw everything into this one, including the kitchen sink. So
I still haven't found it yet.
I haven't.
So they claim there's a sink. We don't actually know.
But this is also too. This is the first time you see a battle between like capital ships. We've always seen space battles, and it's always just been the X-wings and the TIE
The
fighters.
dogfights, yeah.
It's been or even X-wings, and they're flying against the Star Destroyers, and the Star Destroyers are shooting at them. But you've never really seen a battle between capital ships like this, and this had it. So.
Yeah, this movie was definitely a lot of firsts for the franchise.
Considering it was going to be the last movie, so
yeah. I thought. I mean, I'll be honest. Besides Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, I think the only other saga opener that I really, really love is The Force Awakens. I think that's I think it's a great one. I know that people have issues with The Force Awakens, whatever, but
I like it.
Yeah, I think that it's a really solid opening that kind of hammers in the stakes because I mean we don't get to see legitimate brutality very much in Star Wars. I mean, even Revenge of the Sith kind of played it safe, but this one had people rounded up in a circle and just fired at like fish in a barrel. So, but anyways. Getting kind of off topic there.
There's a song. That's funny.
A song of what? Revenge of the Sloth?
Yeah, first thing I when I
Sloth's Revenge.
yeah, that was the first thing that appeared when I typed up Revenge of the Sloth. Is a
Oh
song
my god, I gotta hear
called
this.
Sloth's Revenge.
My dirty
Oh
head.
my gosh.
There it is.
I'm gonna look this up whenever we get off of here. And
Yeah,
Cam's like, all right, guys, that's it for this week.
yeah, right, exactly. I got this other thing I gotta go do.
Oh man.
Now I came across this video a long time ago, and it was a Revenge of the Sith video, and it was probably one of the funniest things I'd ever seen, and I don't even know why. It was the duel between Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Dooku, but every time their lightsabers clashed, you would hear Anakin say, "I don't like sand," and so with them going as fast as they are, you just hear,
I don't like sand. I don't like
I don't like sand. I don't like sand. I don't like sand.
I gotta see if I can find that.
Yes, please go watch that. It's so stupid. Just type in Anakin and Obi-Wan versus Dooku, but every time their lightsabers clash, and it'll come up.
Mm-hmm.
I really hope if you play it, I hope we can hear it.
Yeah, I gotta see if I can find it.
And that kind of spawned a whole lot of videos like that.
I found it.
You did?
The title. All right, hold on. All right, let me share my screen.
I'll just skip through the ads here.
Oh yeah, I have an ad blocker, so.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, don't say that too loud because YouTube will crack down on you.
I mean, I do ad blockers. I hardly know. Yeah, I'm sharing my screen.
It wouldn't matter.
The only way you'll be able to hear it is if I'm sharing my screen. If you want to allow me to do that, then you'll be able to hear it.
Oh, okay. Let me see. Can I allow for screen sharing?
He will. It should bring it up on the side like it's another person joining.
Oh, here we go. Got it.
This time, Dooku. I don't like Sam. I don't like Sam. I don't like Sam. I don't like Sam.
Yeah, that's exactly what you described.
My powers have doubled since the last time I had count.
Oh God.
Good.
Twice the pride. Double the fold.
I don't like Sam. 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 I don't like Sam.
Oh boy. Oh, this is the best part here.
I don't like Sam. 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 I don't like Sam.
Good.
Oh God.
Wow.
Okay.
Oh man.
Oh, that's funny.
Dude, imagine how long it took to edit that. And who thought of that? Like, it's so funny.
And see that video spawned so many others. It's like I saw one where I think it was Obi-Wan versus Anakin, but every time their lightsabers clash, Jar Jar goes "Wah!" or something.
We're gonna go down a rabbit hole of all these videos. That's hilarious. Oh my gosh.
See, that's the one I want to see more.
Yeah, right.
That is gonna be or Palpatine when he goes, ooh.
Yeah. So that there is one more point that I want to bring up here, and this is kind of a more broad lore discussion that I think we could go down a kind of healthy rabbit hole for. So, a lot of people, when the movie first came out, took issue with how quickly Anakin turned to the dark side. How drastic his turn was in such a short span of time. You know, how did he go from, you know, this respectable Jedi to slaughtering children and blah, blah, blah. I am of the belief now, but bear with me on this because I'm bringing back those gosh darn midi-chlorians. So, yeah, I know. Well, they're canon. We have to deal with it. But Midi-chlorians are part of your body's, their body's cellular structure. And midi-chlorians are the channelers of the Force. So when you almost think of the Force almost maybe like a magnet, has the light side and the dark side. When the midi-chlorians are flooded with the dark side, it changes you almost on like a cellular level.
Right.
So with that in mind, it kind of makes his turn a bit more digestible, and by extension, I mean, I know that people don't like to talk about the Last Jedi, whatever, but with Luke, contemplating killing Ben Solo, I mean, Luke has already been susceptible to the dark side before, and what does the dark side feed on? It feeds on fear. What was Luke feeling when he saw Ben's future? He felt fear. So the dark side was like, ooh, I have another chance at this guy. And so he briefly had that moment of instinct where he was like, okay, I have to end this now. But, in true Jedi fashion, he turned away from it. So I was curious as to y'all's perspective on how the dark side changes people. Because we see it a lot in lore where it's almost like a completely different person. When you saw Anakin turn to the dark side, how did you kind of rationalize it?
I think there was a lot, and again, I read the novel before I saw the movie, and the novel covered a lot more of what was going on in Anakin's mind and how he was handling things. Again, for me, a lot of it had to do with, Palpatine had showed him or had given him, hey, look, there's this way to save your wife. He was having these nightmares about Padme. There's a way to save your wife. And this was in the book. I don't believe it was in the movie, but he went to the Jedi archives to go and find how to learn this thing, but only masters could get into that part of the library where that was. Well, that's why he was like, oh, I'm going to be on the council. I'm going to be a master, because then he was like, oh, if I'm going to be a master, now I can go look and see what I need to do. And, oh, well, we don't grant you the rank of master. That was like, Mace Windu said, you're not buying dinner for everybody because your MasterCard's been declined.
That was a double slap in the face then, because one, he didn't get to have access to the knowledge to save his wife, and two, he was the first member of the council that was still a knight.
Yeah, and that being said, that was Palpatine was very much like, well, look, I can help you do this. I know how to do it, so I can help you do this, but it's not going to do you any good if I'm dead. And Anakin just did not have Anakin, I don't think he had the patience to wait it out, to do the whole master thing, for them to make him a master. And even if he did have the patience, he knew he was on borrowed time, because, he saw her dying in childbirth, and Padme was due. It was time. So,
yeah. Well, and if you think about it, I think he was desperate, and he's young. He doesn't know like hard decision makings, and I mean, he had just lost his mother 3 years prior for same reasons, and someone's telling you, oh, hey, I know how to help you, and who you're with is saying, no, you don't get this. In his mind, he's like, well, it's a no-brainer, but he's not thinking the consequences of that actions.
Yeah.
Or he has no idea. The thought doesn't even occur to him that Palpatine would be Sidious until after he's too deep in, and then Sidious, manipulates him and all that stuff. And so
I think it's just because Sidious came up to him and he said, look, no matter what, I'm not going to call you Annie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, Annie.
Well, you also have the fact of, so when Anakin first met Padme, she was literally, like, quite literally, I don't mean this in a poetic or hyperbolic or colloquial sense. She was literally the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen in his life. And so that sparked an obsession. I think that Anakin's attraction to Padme was heavily had a heavy foundation in obsession, and it kind of calls to attention what Yoda said to Anakin, where he says attachment leads to jealousy. Well, that was a big thing in the novel, where Anakin thought that Padme was having an affair with Obi-Wan. And so
you turned her against me.
Yeah, exactly. And so he kind of thought of her as like the one bright spot in his life, especially with him having been through a war for the last however many years at that point. I mean, he was a war hero, and with the mental consequences that would imply. But then he also felt his loyalties being pulled in all different directions. He felt his loyalty to Palpatine. He felt his loyalty to Obi-Wan. He felt his loyalty to Padme. He felt his loyalty to the Jedi in general. It was all being tested over the course of those years. And so, and again, it brings it back to, how the dark side changing somebody on a cellular level can basically turn them almost into a different person. And once you let those fears, those insecurities, all that anger and stuff start to get to you, then the dark side's like, ooh, another victim. Mm-hmm. and it adds a lot of credence to what we see a whole lot in Star Wars lore, where a Sith who fell from being a Jedi thinks of himself as somebody completely removed from the Jedi. Like, Anakin is gone, I am what remains. Things of that nature. I mean, Darth Vader doesn't think of himself as Anakin anymore. He says that name no longer has any meaning for me, because as far as he's concerned, Anakin Skywalker is dead. So, I don't know. I thought it was just kind of a fun point to bring up there.
Yeah.
We
and
love
the Clone Wars helps to add a lot to it as well.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, because you have the duality of the brother and the sister, and the people above them. I'm blanking on what they were called.
Mother and father.
Was it really that simple? I feel stupid.
No, I don't remember.
Oh, damn it!
Actually, yes. Yeah.
But yeah, it was interesting to have the Force be given physical embodiments of it, because if you I don't remember exactly where in Star Wars this was introduced. I think it might have been in Tales of the Jedi, like the old Tales of the Jedi, where the original people who began practicing worship of the Force, called the light side Ashla and the dark side Bogan. When you assign names to an idea, then that idea becomes personified, and I think that has a lot to do with the brother and the sister and how they're portrayed as literal, beings of the Force. I think that's kind of interesting rabbit hole to go down.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. All right. Well, we have hit an hour, so
and that's all you get, people.
Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. But anyways, does anybody have any final thoughts? Any shameless plugs? Anything of that nature? I will start over here with Mr. Spencer.
Just want to thank you for having me on. It was good talking about Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
For anybody who wants to see my stock content, you can go right over here. Check out the Dingus Den over on YouTube, where I do a bunch of different comics related videos and such as earlier today. Speaking of Tales of the Jedi, I actually just put out a video of the Comic Den, which is my weekly comic related podcast, where we just talked about Tales of the Jedi, the Dark Lords of the Sith, which actually in some ways actually has some similarities to the story of what you were just talking about with Anakin, when you talk about how Exar Kun and Ulrich fall.
I love Exar Kun.
I talk about them falling to the dark side in their own ways, where Anakin is I kind of feel like it's kind of like a mix of those kind of. But anyway, did a stream over that today, so be sure to go check that out. That was a lot of good.
Nice.
Good fun there. For anybody that I know Thunderbolts is riding a high, the previous video I put out was actually like the different comics that Thunderbolts is based from, and so be sure to go check that out, and be sure to tune in next week for the next Comic Den.
All right, Dave.
Tomorrow night we're MCU Mondays. We're talking about Thunderbolts. Excited about that. Then Thursday night Cantina Happy Hour. We're doing episodes. What are we on?
4 to
7, 8.
6.
Huh?
4 to 6. Oh no, it'll be 7,
7, 8,
to,
and 9.
7, 8, 9. Yeah, I'm a week off. Oops.
7, 8, and 9 of Andor. We'll also probably touch a little bit on Tales of the Underworld, but we're saving that show for later. So, and I'll save the rest for Andrew.
Andrew.
Yeah. So obviously I'll be doing all the stuff that David said. I'll be back here hopefully next week for whatever movie or topic we'll be discussing.
Well, that will be Blues Brothers. Well, we've put that off for long enough. We are definitely doing Blues Brothers next Sunday.
Awesome. So, all right. So I'll be here for Blues Brothers. At the end of this month, David and I will be attending Fan Expo Dallas.
Woo!
Fun. Really looking forward to that. So yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. David's gonna have a lot of free stuff he's getting rid of. You can come up to me and say, I don't want to talk to you, but I want David because he's got free stuff. And I'll say, fair enough, and I'll send you to David.
Yep.
So yeah. It's gonna be a
People
lot of
just
fun.
come up to you and say, I don't like sand. I don't like sand. I don't like sand.
I don't like sand. We go to, I don't like sand. I don't you know. You have to verse me in a knife fight. All right.
There you go.
So yeah, that's all I got.
All right. And as far as it goes here, to everybody who's viewing, you can catch me over on the Feast of Fandom's Cantina Happy Hour. I keep on wanting to say GNN Cantina Happy Hour. I don't know why that's so ingrained in my head. The Feast of Fandom's Cantina Happy Hour. I will be caught up on Andor by the time we do that. Most of my moving process will be completed. So I'm not going to have too much left to do. So I'll be able to get myself caught up, thankfully. And then next Sunday, next Sunday, we'll be back again for Cam and Focus Weekly. We'll be discussing Blues Brothers, the original, not Blues Brothers 2000. We don't talk about that one, not in my presence at least.
Oh, that's like my favorite of the two, though.
Shut up.
I haven't seen either yet, so.
The original Blues Brothers, I will not take any arguments.
Hey, it'll be a first-time watch for me, so.
Yeah, you're going to love it. It's so good. It's so funny. And beyond that, yesterday I went and I saw Thunderbolts. My first impressions video is on my channel. The algorithm is really helping me out there. I'm kind of surprised at how much that one's gaining traction. But anyways, yes. So that's all that I've got. Thank you, fellas, for joining me. This was a lot of fun talking about Revenge of the Sith. Have a wonderful evening. May the 4th be with you, and we will see you all next time.